The ReDIAL project is carved out of the DESIRA, which is a European Union green agenda, which looks at climate-smart agriculture and ensuring sustainable food systems globally. And the ReDIAL, as carved out of the DESIRA, looks at research into innovative and agricultural systems. In all, we sought to look at how we can fight climate change and ensure higher productivity for smallholder farmers.
This project is supported by the European Union precisely because it seeks to improve agriculture practices, to make them smarter, to make them more sustainable, to improve the yields, and we will see it to improve the life of the agriculture practices, to make them smarter, to make them more sustainable, to improve the yields, and we will see it to improve the life of the smallholder farmers.
The project is implemented by a consortium of partners. These partners are Friends of the Nation, who we are coordinating and leading the project. We have the Faculty for Renewable Natural Resources of the University of Science and Technology, and we have Tropembos Ghana. We have two additional partners, CECI, who introduced the farm sense, and we have CETEC, who also introduced the multi-crop threshers. So with these partners, we have worked in Yendi, Donkokrom, Ejura, Sevioso, and Techiman in the Bono East districts.
In the 3 years of the project, we have achieved great milestone in all the 6 components of the project.
One of the learnings that we got was to look at the soil nutrients. And in that, we introduced the farm sense. And the farm sense was to look at the soil, integrity of the soil. And that equipment was used to test the soil nutrients.
Statistically, productivity in agriculture in Africa as compared to the rest of the world, primarily the Americas and then Europe, it's very low in our part of the continent. One of the reasons is because they are farming blindly. They don't know what is in their soil and how to optimize it. So that's primarily what we wanted to tackle. In regards to the farm sense technology, it's basically in 2 parts. We have the hardware and then the software. The hardware is made up of the soil sensor and some other components that help us to measure soil fertility parameters like pH, nitrogen, phosphorus, etc. And then when these are measured, we're able to sync it via Bluetooth to the software. That's the second part, which we then can analyze and provide useful feedback to the users.
We have introduced this technology to our 5 project zones. We have trained youth farmers and the staff of departments of agriculture in the use of the technology. We've also used the technology to profile over 12 million hectares of land, which we produce out of it a soil fertility map, which have been distributed to the Department of Agriculture to help them understand the soil nutrient deficiencies of the soils in their jurisdiction and advise farmers on appropriate technologies to enrich their soil fertility and increase crop yields. So as part of our intervention, we have given the 5 departments of agriculture that we work with 3 of the farm sense devices each. These are being used by the extension officers during their routine visits to farmers. Also, we have conducted soil testing for over 763 farmers who we visited their farms with the assistance of the extension officers. We visited their farms, tested their soil, and the extension officers explained to them the soil components of their farmland and advised them on appropriate nutrient enrichment or the composition of fertilizers they should use. For example, you would visit a farmer who is cultivating, say, maize, and applying a fertilizer that is needed for maybe cowpea or something else, more of the proportion of that. So with the advice, they know that, okay, the fertilizer I was adopting previously is wrong for the crop I'm planting, or wrong for the soil composition of my farmland, and they changed that, which has helped most of the farmers that we've worked with to increase their yield.
Before the farm science technology, we used to just try our luck because we didn't have any in-depth knowledge about our various pieces of lands. We could use maybe line A for cereals, maize, sorghum, and at the end of the season, the results or the yield, we have nothing to write home about. And with the use of the farm sense, we now choose our food crops based on the nutrients content or level within the various farms or plots or farmlands.
Amoma yo hunu asase no kwa hoden ekohunu se sa asase we no ese we na ese wudua beans ese wadua yini a mkate ne a ese wudua aburo na ese wudua nti omoma di machine abebo ama ya hunu sa de nyina no te ma aburo nu kwa yedua aburo a aburo nu bo beans ne a yete.
First year I was farming maize, just 2 acres, and the maize was not all the nutrients was not good, so I changed it to soybeans through the most important testing, soil testing. When they test it and advised me that here will be good for soybeans, so I leave the maize here and be farming soybeans here. They will tell you the particular nutrient that is lacking, and even when you are to use the chemical fertilizer, which type of fertilizer you should go in for, rather than going to buy maybe nitrogen, maybe where the NPK is high and it's not even needed there. So at the end of the day, you waste your resources and the yield will not be good at all. So farm sense has increased our yield. I now know where to do maize and where to do groundnut or soybean.
The farm sense technology, the tool was very user friendly. It's able to give you the NPK nutrient component on the spot.
When the ReDIAL project came, they checked to see how the Yindi municipality could have a soil nutrient map where we could advise a farmer where you are coming to crop. This is the nutrients that is available, and so you need to add this much, or you need to avoid adding so nutrients. If it is legume, this is what you should do. So it means by the time before the project came, people do not have an insight on the soil properties within which they will come to plant their crops.
Farm sense equipment. Under this, all our officers were trained on how to determine the fertility level of soil for farmers. And the farm sense equipment were also provided. We had 2 of the equipment sets. And through this, we are able to determine the soil fertility level of farmers and also educate them on which fertilizer they should apply. And this has also helped. As I'm talking to you now, farmers do trip to the office to ask for our assistance to go and then determine the fertility level of their soil, because they have seen that those who took advantage of farm sense, their yields have been improved.
With the climate smart agriculture, we had equipped the farmers with knowledge and skills in no-bend farming. We've looked at composting. We've established composting sites that the farmers now believe that with composting, instead of fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, etc., the organic fertilizer could help them increase their yields and quality yields. And looking at all that triggers of climate change by their farming practices, they've realized that no, it's a no-go area this time, but they would rather embark on climate smart agriculture practices, which would endure well for the soil and for their own livelihoods. And it's catching up very well with them.
Before we introduce the farmers to purchase and use, we established demonstration plots using a compost from ACAP, a factory in Kumasi. The farmers themselves testify to the fact that organic fertilizer is able to improve crop yield. And what we did was first to get the input dealers in all the districts in touch with the manufacturer, so that they now knew how to get this into their shops, so that farmers could also go there and buy. The second thing we did was to help the farmers do the composting themselves, so that if people didn't have money then they could still get access to the compost, or you could buy from the input dealers and also supplement with your own production. So we took them through the processes of making compost, and in all the areas we also left them with kits that they could use to try this. And if they found it useful, then of course they could buy their own kits and expand the access, or even construct their own means of doing it using local materials, which you don't need to buy anything. Everything will be available in the setting where you are working. So this is what we have done to enable the farmers gain access to the compost. And then we also took the steps further by engaging other stakeholders in terms of getting this component embedded in the agricultural policies of Ghana. Ghana already is working towards fertilizer policy. So we have engaged the relevant stakeholders to make sure that organic fertilizers are given enough attention in that policy. Okay, and the response has been very good. We started first with showing them the soil maps, which they appreciated, and then took them through all the steps that we have taken with the farmers to enable them apply alternatives to the inorganic fertilizer, and then what we want them to do thereafter to ensure that the country accepts this as a way forward for improving soil fertility.
Some were even supported with equipment to produce this compost, and it has been very helpful to these farmers and the farmers group. Moreover, they were also trained, and when they left, our AEs have also been able to train other farmers on how to prepare this compost. So I must say that the ReDIAL project has really came to help farmers in the municipality. Farmers on their own are able to produce their own compost in a quantity that have also helped to increase crop yield.
Na mo gasa so asan be cheye awunsa afrika no ya afrika ne sa no e ma asase no nse mo na ese na fese yeku mo ana e ma yenya aduade ne ekese no nse mo ma sa yi ni na de se agenti mo no wo asase no mu to aburo no wadua kwa 2 weeks no a nse kwa ko guaduro kwa na aburo no amanu mu sopa ase se fese na ye hya asase no so no na mo asana cheye fet na nkasa kwa se aduane no ma ye di no fie no kra moma etimi sande ye fet esandi ku aburu na ase etine fet kra ye ton kese kra ne eso ate ye ton kese sabi
ReDIAL for the two sibra say ye compost manure different ye wom ni say crystal ones na ye use no o kotoba odi gu aduade na da ye na ade na obetwa wie na ne so ahonde na asa we so ye di gu ye no ye wo say epike ye no otwa aduade na wi the second year odibe si house ebiem no na peke ntem na eko en twen se o san di bibe kura be gu biem.
Another interesting component of our project is the introduction of the multi-crop thresher technology. You can all agree with me that threshing in Ghana is typically done by hand beating. I've seen my mother do it, I've seen my neighbors do it growing up all the time. And we are all aware that a major impact of it is post-harvest loss. I am aware that it accounts for over 30% of post-harvest loss during threshing activities. Aside the post-harvest loss, it's very tiring, laborious, and time-consuming. You can spend days threshing a bag of grain.
SATEC provided the multi-crop threshers, and so far our machine has a wide spectrum of crops that it could do: rice, maize, soybean, cowpea itself. Typically where you have up to 2 weeks to do manual threshing on an acre of field, our machine can do the same work for you in under 2 hours for maize. And so crucially, our machine comes in to reduce labor, the drudgery that typically smallholder farmers are facing.
First, no, you travel, say, me bop, bubu, and my mama pata.
ma share bro no so ma so jawo ase a ko sta ma emenya market na ma sa be transit akwakura hwan sa me bre me ka se ta ma mi hwan kura no biara me dada gudam me ka se mi hwan la kura na nkanka hwem bi ma bebre sai na so re dada ma ba yese no o ma ma ye machine bi se ndo bu afuru mu kura unya from kwa don so ma ba ma bi tutu afuru mu na te ja ba fi.
Threshing was one of our major problems, especially had to do with rice. But since ReDIAL brought this multi-purpose thresher, it's able to support those doing the grains, specifically for the rice farmers. They've been very, very happy. So this multi-thresher has really helped the district in terms of rice production. In that there were very few farmers who were going into rice. But last year, we had almost 600 metric tons of rice leaving the district alone.
Through this project, the vulnerable, that's the physically challenged people, they find it difficult accessing such threshers. But with this, we always target them. So we're able to thresh their produce for them timely. Their produce were threshed for them free. And aside this group, anybody who also want to thresh, the threshing is done at a reduced price compared to the markets.
Personally, fi bem bebre. Je suis le machine no. Yi fi bebre wo mu nti ebro na ni efe. Me de ko market out mu se bibia obi ape ade efe. Na ade efe so de nan bon so se de ekosoro.
We also looked at the livelihood of farmers. How could they get additional sources of income? And with that, we had established about 19 VSLA groups across the project districts. We had introduced the farmers. In fact, they themselves have desired to have those livelihood skills. And it ranged from piggery to aquaculture to gari processing and a few other livelihoods.
We have about 5 VSLA and they are doing extremely well. Most of these groups, they come together, they contribute, they identify a common venture that they can use their money to do. And some of them, they even give out soft loan to the group members to help in their farming and post-harvest activities. And mostly, it is just a small interest that is charged on this, and it has helped this group.
Getting the money to farm was a difficult and challenge to us, especially real person living with disability. Since village savings and loan came, it helped us a lot because going to someone to pick a loan is not easy. The person looking at your situation, she knows that when she even give it to you, you cannot come and pay it back. Before village saving and loan, I was farming 2 acres of land. And when I involve myself in the VLCL, I can farm about 5 acres and sometimes 6.
First, Opebusia de Agama, Onyembi. Ubako, Abara, Selma, Opebusia, just your Mocasa, Fabi, Beginamu, Asa, Ebiana was only Sa de Corono. Tuba, yes, we have to Buaka Cracker, Dakari, and Bahano, so dear. At me, Bo, Biamana, Jumayere, a corner named Cacracker. A corner named say, Ahuntomu say, Ebiana, Ope, Bosia, Cogena, Onyembino. Utminia, Scanwork, Ere, at the Sawagamoso. Ebia kurana fete kurana nka opena onye bia si ena saa wie no tu utimi first na nka oto miasa esi utimi toboro be du ntemfan se na ye den eko enim
o sise susuku na aba no se mitimi personal me do sese me do so pekes susu na aba ya na aboa me pa timitimi je bosia ho na se me je bosia no me de bi ka ho na ma de ado ama ekesi no adoso
VSL na di faso be brabre fi se first no na enye scan fam mo ya adwuma na enye scan to ya adwadim na afeso ye ma na omko school no so edu mra omo he ska de ato omo school no ma na ya na ho kire ho nti VSL ni bae no se edu so a yetiminya kakra de buan kola no omo so tia omo adesua so na ye fo adwuma so no de na bi di shem na ye dwa na ye de tongale kakra ni eblo molenti edu so a eblo no ba na ne bo ofoma yeji lona na di attach won tebro ni bo kwasoro kra ye wa brusi ho nti aboa ye papa ma ye dwuma no sese a ekọ enim pa ama ya setra no so na ye kama yeji bi so ye fle bi so no duga quick loan onu de wokɔ ya na waje week na ode abante ne wohwe na bibia ni hwe ne nkola ne bedi kura wokɔ ya na ede ama ti da no ne ma ne nkro no bedidi ti aboa pa
first no na yeni say ebia oyade bi betima attack wonim obi a okwaje sika wo no ho ba na we ni ti utumi nya sika no yede utumi bosia wom na osane ko ukoba na ohwe ho na se ho to ba ho na osane be yede wasane betia no pepepe se de ye pe no nti ama eso obi aso ama no tumi yede etumi ye se de ope ebia na atawen chen bi wom na ebia na ka ukọ uni abi ho okurum ukọkra onye bi ma obeka se chena sanbra na wasane ko ukọ na onye bia na se de ka opese oya no untimi nye ebia wadu aburo na opese ogu aduro aburo no date ni se da opese odia na unye sa date no ukọ sika no onye bi ma ba we no se no eboa ye
Village Saving and Loan Association. In fact, we have about 5 VSLA in Nigeria, and they are doing extremely well. Why am I saying so? Through these VSLA activities, most of these groups, they come together, they contribute, they identify a common venture that they can use their money to do. And some of them, they even give out soft loan to the group members to help in their farming and post-harvest activities. And mostly, it is just a small interest that is charged on this, and it has helped this group. Some have even moved from the farming activities with their monies. They have invested into other livelihood activities like hiring of chairs for people.
ReDIAL for buy, you know, or more the no be yeah at the bread say choose na ya choose a war you know. Say there a do casio ha. Casio no I say it immediate I in that kind of sure. Say there a bummer nsu an tokora ebetumi sky len e de afiri saa won mu ntema eboa ye setena se ya ye koso a ye kuya no nte de boa kuya ye no.
Then we have multi-stakeholders dialogue platform. And in fact, this is a platform that has helped us a lot. When you come to Fulani farmer conflict issues, it was very rampant here. And through this platform, all the stakeholders, Nananom, the municipal assembly, the police, NADMO, we all came together under this platform so that we will strategize how we can manage the farmers' fields and then the Fulani cattle so that there will be peace.
Yeah, and it's a Bosumi Miensa Biano, Yebeshia, a quarter of the year, no, Yebeshia, at the according drain, Yeku no. Na enu muso no eboaye na nka ye de nka ye benya kwase nka boso me bianka ye nhia fi se de na omo church no so no na ato ye twuma ma na aso ye ni na nka ye pene nso ya sunsun pe mo no aye mre na ye se kwata bia no ye se itimi hia na ye dwendwen ku no Fulani issues no de na se anantwe nsem de na eya ginsemu wa adwura ne ne mpatamu pa ye ahaye ma aban nyina ba mu nanso entimi ansowo nanso me kan dia boy MSD abaso so omo ba mu no am say Fulani issues nyina de conform di madura amma adura traditional council ne MSD ni hia ye ehun kwampa ye de befa so wo hwe mfie bebra betwam kwa ye ti Fulani issues nipa kum ni nasefo nanso afi we ye twam ide ye antise sabe moto ana bicycle krampo abo bi wadura amma Fulani fo no so di omo dwuma se de se ma omo de ko omo fie wa bra ha obi ani wo ti me fa kwanya we so abo MSD ni so aba so papa fi se oba bu wadura man amma Fulani nsensem nyina no akofa ma maye.
The sustainability of the project has been embedded in the implementation process. So throughout the training, we made sure that we secure the commitment and the ownership of the community people and the stakeholders we worked with. So intensive training was done for all the beneficiaries to ensure that beyond the project, they are able to still do the things we've taught them. For example, the VSLE, they are able to handle it on their own, even in our absence. The organic compost sites we have established, they are able to maintain it. They know what to do. In terms of the adoption of the climate smart, they know what to do. But regarding the assets like the farm sensor testing, we have worked intensively together with the Department of Agriculture and built their capacity to provide these services even when we are gone. Already, they have been using it in their routine visit journey. But as part of our sustainability structure to ensure that the multi-crop threshers are utilized beyond the project to meet the needs of all the stakeholders who will be of interest, we have established the post-ReDIAL Management Committee. This committee comprised of representatives from the farmer groups, the VSLA groups, the persons with disability, departments of agriculture, the district assembly, who has mandated to plan and manage the use of the threshers and ensure that beneficiaries have access to it. They are mandated to charge user fees, which can help them raise funds for financial sustainability of the thresher. And even if they are able to make more money, they are mandated to buy more threshers, which achieves the purpose that we have set them to do. The last component of our project is to promote the adoption of climate-smart agriculture among our beneficiaries, which is intended to reduce the environmentally unfriendly practices such as slash and burn, which contribute to land degradation and greenhouse emissions, which is contributing to the climate change. So far, we have been able to reach out to over 3,500 farmers with climate-smart practices such as mulching, agroforestry, and the likes. We have also helped train 1,417 farmers on how to produce organic fertilizer using household waste in their homes.
ReDIAL ba tese na anka yan sa ba ku kura hwa. Tese na anka ye wo brenu a ReDIAL do ma boy papa. O ma due yani, o ma ma bless ate kura.
ReDIAL fo mu baaye no. Mo na o ma be boaye no. Ama ne se be pebibi e pad kese bi a ye kuafo yeso ye ka ho bi. Nti de e ka ne se da o ma se.
The European Union and Friends of the Nation and also the Kwame Nkrumah Science and Technology, and also those who make the machine for soil testing. We thank them very much.
ReDIAL, you my dear European Union, Mamma Bahano, Edomasipa, Omababua, Muma, Akuajmano, Ayakondo.
This project is addressing needs of Ghana. I mean, more jobs, more production, smarter practices, and very important practices which are less harmful for the soil, for the environment. I'm very happy with the achievement of the project. I'm very proud that the communities, the women, the people who have benefited from the project will have, I would say, new horizons, better revenues, less strain on the way they work, better, I would say, ability to project themselves, better access to finance. And I think if this project has just contributed to that, I am proud we have supported it.